As I'm nearing the end of my Sims 3 Legacy Challenge, yes, I have played 10 generations and every single expansion pack that came with the Sims 3 Legacy style. I realized I never showed a video of how I've been moving these families from town to town. I'm sure a lot of you are interested, and if you want to do a Legacy Challenge yourself, then this is something that you're gonna need to know. That's what this video is. Of course, in Vanilla Sims 3, EA hard-coded a function that allows you to move from town to town. You would think that this would be sufficient enough, but when you actually dig into what this process is, when your sim moves to the new town, the game will automatically destroy your old town and no relationships, your family tree, items, skills, etc. will be preserved from your old town. I don't like this, and this is actually really easily fixable with none other than our saving grace, the holy grail NRAAS mods. If you don't know what NRAAS mods are, I have covered every single NRAAS mod, what they are, what they do, the things and limits you can push with these mods in 2 separate video guides on this channel. But this video is dedicated to just 2 NRAAS mods that solely focus on moving Sims from town to town the safe way without deleting any data. So of course, we're going to start where all my Sims 3 tutorials start, on my lovely desktop. Of course, before you actually get into the game, you're going to want to download the 2 NRAAS mods that we are going to be focusing on in this video. You can download one or the other once you decide which one's for you, or you can just go ahead and download both at the same time because they're not exclusive. You can have both in your game at the same time and it doesn't mess anything up with both NRAAS Porter and NRAAS Traveler. So before you jump into the game, make sure you have both of these mods in your game, or you can decide which one you want and just download and pick which one you are going to use. I'm going to open up the Sims 3 here, and I use a separate mod called Smoothness Patch, which I also have videos on, but I also use Lazy Duchess's Sims 3 Origin Launcher. Doesn't matter if you have this or not, I'm just saying. So I'm going to boot up my Sims 3 game, and we are going to go ahead and load into the game. I'm going to show you guys all the processes that I perform before I actually go and move a sim from town to town, because there are a couple of things that you may want to look at, a couple of items maybe in your Sims' inventory, or maybe Sims that you don't even want to take for that matter. So let's do those preliminary processes and then we can get into actually moving our sim from town to town. So I am here now on my Sims 3 home screen, and I'm just going to choose the family I want to play. So this is my Sims 3 Island Paradise Leprosy. This is the family in this video that I am going to be moving from town to town. So I'm going to go into them and I'm just gonna boot them up. Alrighty, so I am currently here in my Island Paradise family. You may recognize this family, but the first thing I always do, and this will require you to have NRAAS Master Controller, which this is like the most basic NRAAS mod, so I'm assuming a lot of you probably already have it, but you may have not known that you can click on City Hall here, or you can click on a computer in your Sims' house. You can go to NRAAS Master Controller, and there's going to be a really handy function in here that I would recommend everyone do this before we begin to move families across towns, and that is under the town option in the reset everything button. This will reset every single object, every single sim. The caveat to this is you don't want to do this when you're like in the middle of a gameplay session. Maybe you can do it like when your sims are sleeping at night, but this will reset all of the sims' motives down here and return them to their front doorstep. So you definitely don't want to do this when your sim is at work or it's during the middle of the day. You probably want to do this at night, like 3 a.m. Is probably a good time to do this, but I'm going to go ahead and wait this out. The bigger town you have, the more objects that there are going to be reset. And as you can see, my Sims portraits are disappearing down here. This is completely normal. This is completely fine. And what this is going to do is this will fix a lot of those stuck objects, and this might even fix stuck objects in your Sims' inventory. A lot of times I get some errors up here that tell me after this total town reset that there were inventory items that were deleted or destroyed, and you know, they might be glitched out items or whatever. So this is definitely something I would recommend everyone to do before we begin to move Sims across towns. So I just ran the reset everything. It reset 15,520 22 objects. As you can see here, my money and my Sims' portrait is missing. That's fine, just switch to new sim and it will be restored. But now that I have reset everything, we are going to see that all the Sims are on the front doorstep, and also all of their motives are changed. So just be aware of that before you do any of this. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna pause the game here and we're gonna go through our Sims' inventory. Just letting you guys know, if you play multi-generational, you may have some junk in your Sims' inventory. I've had situations where I go to export this family, especially when I go into export into a Sims 3 pack, and the game gets stuck on the processing little plumb bob and it will never get out of it. And that is because there are a lot of inventory items in your Sims' inventory. And I'm not just talking about inventory here, I'm also talking, and this is the kicker here, you need to make sure your family inventories are relatively clear, because these can contribute to a large family file size. So I just hit the sell all button because there was a car in my Sims' inventory that was stuck, so I don't want that to be a cause of problem. But I'm gonna go back into live mode here. You can also choose to go through this inventory if you want. Like my sim has like a double boat and that sort of thing, and you will notice you will get a lot of money for this stuff. That's a positive of going through your Sims' inventory, right? Alrighty, so now that we have the preliminary processes, those two things are what I do before I jump into figuring out how I want to move my family from this town to the next town. And obviously at this point, you should probably also already have a town picked out. That just goes without saying. But we need to decide if we want to use NRAAS Traveler or NRAAS Porter. That's those two mods that I showed in the beginning of the video. And this is going to be up to personal choice and personal preference. What is NRAAS Traveler? So NRAAS Traveler uses the coded EA move and travel system via the phone and the computer. So if you go in here to your sim and you click on real estate and travel services, move, this button is in vanilla Sims 3. This is in the base game of Sims 3. You don't need to have any mods. Now, what NRAAS Traveler does is it basically overhauls this move to new town feature and completely installs a brand new and improved version of the NRAAS Traveler move to a new town system. So the pros to using NRAAS Traveler is that all your Sims' relationships across towns will be preserved. So if we move here from Isla Paradiso and we move to a new town, all of these Sims will stay in my Sims' relationship panel, but they'll be grayed out as though they are a foreign Sim. Basically the system that comes with World Adventures, where it grays out their portrait and you have the ability to click on them and invite them into a new town. That is the new system, and all these Sims will be preserved. As I already mentioned, it does allow you to invite out of household Sims to stay the day or the week or however long it is in the new town. And this is kind of like an added feature, but this allows you to travel to any world destination as a vacation destination. So if I go here to travel, what you'll see is I will be able to travel to places that I normally wouldn't be able to. So for example, I can travel to Appaloosa Plains, I can travel to Barnacle Bay, I can travel to Bridgeport. These are places that would ordinarily not be available for you to travel with, but are opened up when you have NRAAS Traveler. So that's a really cool feature. You know, you get more than just the traditional World Adventure vacation destinations of Shang Simla, Al Samara, and Champlain Sim. Now, the biggest con to NRAAS Traveler, and this is an insanely large con in my opinion, of course, because this preserves all your Sims' relationships, and it also preserves, you know, all of those Sims' like character data, like sim file data. The file sizes that you get on these save files that you use NRAAS Traveler with are astronomically larger than a traditional save file that has just taken place in one town. And let me show you a first-hand account of what that looks like. Hi guys, welcome to my Sims 3 saves folder. So I'm going to show you the difference of a town that I have used NRAAS Traveler on extensively versus a town that just has a vanilla Sims 3 Sunset Valley save file in it. So first of all, let's start off by seeing what just the original Sunset Valley save file is. 49.7 megabytes. That's a pretty good size for just one town, not having traveled to any other world or moved using using NRAAS Traveler, that's good sized. Now let's look at a town that has just got Island Paradise. That is the family that I just opened up, and you know, it's slightly bigger. It's a slightly bigger town. That makes sense. It has 88.9 megabytes, but you know, keep in mind that these two save files are just single town saves. So that's it. Let's look at a save file that I have used NRAAS Traveler to travel to France, but not only France, the Sims 3 store town of Riverview, and then also done a full rotation of Sims Uni. Let's take a look at how big this file size is, and oh my god, it's 240 megabytes. So yes, as you can see, the more you start to use NRAAS Traveler and get more town save data files, if you go into your save, you can see which towns you've traveled to. So as this story tells, France, Riverview, and Sims University, all of those files are saved right here. You have to be really careful because your saves will get very, very clogged if you use NRAAS Traveler to travel to, say, every single town you have in your game. You have to be super careful. I would actually say that this is a really big culprit of lag and game bloat, is if you do use NRAAS Traveler and are traveling to multiple towns extensively. So those are the pros and cons of NRAAS Traveler, but let's take a look at NRAAS Porter, which is the other mod that you can use to move your sim to a new town. What is NRAAS Porter? Back in my game now, let's cover what NRAAS Porter is. It is the other way that you can move sims from town to town. Now, how exactly NRAAS Porter works, much like how NRAAS Traveler uses the already in the game coded move system, NRAAS Porter also uses an EA already built system and builds upon that. And it actually uses, if you go here to edit town, just continue, it uses the library bin folder down here. And what NRAAS Porter is essentially is it basically plucks your sims up from their current lot, and it takes their data file from the current town and it puts it in the EA bin here, and it allows you to transpose it to a new town. Now, I prefer NRAAS Porter because you're just plucking your Sims' data file, and it actually doesn't retain any data from this previous world besides your Sims' skills and what position they are in their job currently, their level, and their inventory items. But it doesn't take, you know, all of the Sims that your sim currently knows here in their relationships panel. It doesn't transfer those over. So your sim will essentially know nobody, and it's like you just created them in Create a Sim basically, and you pluck them up and put them into a new town. But also what's really good about NRAAS Porter is it allows you to move a massive amount of sims. So NRAAS Traveler will just move your current household, but NRAAS Porter allows you to move massive amount of sims at one time, and also across households. So let's say, you know, I want to take this family here, but also in my family tree here, you can see that River has a brother named Tyson. Now Tyson, I know he lives all the way across town. So if I wanted to take, say, River's household and also Tyson's household, despite them living separately, I would be able to take Tyson over here and his family, and then also River's family. But on the flip side of that, if I just took River's family and I did not take Tyson, who would still be left in this town, unfortunately, when I transpose this family into the new town, Tyson would not show up, and anyone that I didn't take with us would not show up on the family tree. So let's say that River's parents here were alive and I kept them in this town and I didn't take them with NRAAS Porter to the new town, River would not have parents on the family tree. So with NRAAS Porter, whoever you click to take with you is who's going to show up on your family tree, and whoever you don't take with you, unfortunately, will be basically like they didn't exist. If you leave Sims back home in your old home world, they'll be lost and not recognized in the family tree and the relationships panel. So with that said, I'm gonna let you guys choose, obviously, if you want to use NRAAS Traveler or NRAAS Porter. I gave you the pros and the cons, and now that you have decided, let's get into actually moving the Sims. How to move with NRAAS Traveler. So if you are at this point of the video, you have chosen to use NRAAS Traveler to move your family. I'm glad that we can make this choice together. Your Sims' family will be preserved, which is great. And this is a pretty painless process considering that this mod basically just overhauls, you know, the phone or the computer move system. So I'm gonna choose move to a new town. Oh, I hit travel, sorry. Let's click move to a new town, and we can just choose, this is literally the same menu that you get if you were to use the EA default system. So I'm gonna move this family to Barnacle Bay. You can choose to sell or pack our furniture. I'm gonna sell it just so the game doesn't have to bring this, and also I don't really want it, so I don't really care. So I'm going to hit sell, and it says your sim family is preparing to move to a new town. Uprooting them for this long distance move will cause all normal wishes, opportunities, and relationships with sims outside your household to be lost as they wipe their slate clean. This is not true. This is just the EA message that shows up when you use it, but because we have NRAAS Traveler, this does not apply to us, so you can just hit yes. NRAAS Traveler luckily it does in fact save everything. It also says it's strongly recommended that you save your game prior to moving your sims to a new town. If you select don't save, you'll be unable to return your family to this current point should you decide not to remain at their destination. We can just hit save, and we're gonna enter a name. So we're gonna call this NRAAS Traveler family example. I don't know, you can call it whatever you want. So we'll hit save here, and then this is going to save us a brand new file. So my game has just finished saving now, and it says moving to a new town up here in the left corner. So this is like a really nice cute animation, all of your family leaving together into the sunset, into the beautiful Isla Paradiso sunset right now. And yeah, it's just like a really nice clean system. I also really like the added animations because I mean they didn't have to put the sims, you know, getting into the car or the boat wherever you're living and driving off, you know, off into the sunset. They didn't have to do that. They could have just cut you right to the saving or the loading screen for the new town. But it's nice, it's cute. It does take a little bit sometimes, so I'm just gonna speed through this, and here they go, they're all leaving together, yay. Okay, so right here on my map is where the game prompts them, and then it'll boot you into a loading screen for the new town as though you just started the town. I feel like I don't really need to explain this part. I mean, we've all loaded into a new Sims game before. I just wanted to point out right here, the original file of just the family is at 88.9 megabytes, and this NRAAS Traveler family, the family that I'm currently showing you guys, is already up to 134 megabytes. So you can see the file size difference here. It is quite bloated, even though we haven't even played in the town yet and we haven't met any people and so on and so forth. It is already quite a sizable file size at this point. Okay, after a very long loading screen, like a longer loading screen than normal, we are here in Barnacle Bay. Not my favorite town, but just the one I picked. So you will take all the money that your family had previously, the cost of the house, the cost of the furniture in the house, etc. You can just pick a house. There's also this return to previous town button. I mean, I assume this returns us back to Isla Paradiso. I don't know what happens if you click that. Oh, it puts them in the bin. Okay, so it's just like puts them in the bin, and you can pick a house to put them in and just continue playing. So I'm just gonna put them here really quickly. For some reason, it's also trying to give me a tutorial. I'm just gonna exit out of that. But here we are in the brand new house. My sim still has all of his relationships. Also, this is a side note. I don't know why sometimes it duplicates the relationship even when the person is in the family with you. I have not a single idea because it also duplicated the entire family on everyone else's relationships panel. I don't know. I can't quite tell you, but as you can see, all the exes and half-sisters and sister-in-laws are maintained. All the jobs are maintained as long as you have the same rabbit hole in the next town. For example, Ash is a firefighter. As long as you have the fire station in this town, his career will be preserved. And as you can see, inventory items are still here. We still have our most likely ribbons and our high school diplomas and all that kind of stuff, all of our cars and whatnot. So that's NRAAS Traveler. Pretty simple, pretty self-explanatory. Now let's get into how to move with NRAAS Porter, which is a little bit more involved, but it is my preferred way. How to move with NRAAS Porter. Alright, so if you're at this point of the video now, you have decided that you want to use NRAAS Porter to move your family to the new town. So how do we do that? Well, NRAAS Porter is a lot more particular in the way that it functions than NRAAS Traveler is. But first things first, we're going to pause our game and we're going to put up the wall here, and you want to be loaded into your family. Do not be in edit town when you're doing this. You want to be on your family with the game paused. Now, either you can click the family's map tag here and go to Porter, or you can can go to their front door and click on their front door here and hit NRAAS Porter, and then you can hit pack. We're going to hit pack, and it is going to bring up this menu, which is actually every single household in the entire town. So earlier when I was explaining the differences between NRAAS Traveler and NRAAS Porter, I mentioned that you can bring massive amounts of people with NRAAS Porter. Well, this is the screen to do so. So the first thing you want to do is, if you want to bring more families than just your household is going to show up at the top. So if you just want to bring your own household, just click on this household, your main household, and then just hit the check mark. But if you want to bring massive amounts of Sims, like say Sims outside of your household, then you can scroll through here and click on a family that you want to bring. So earlier I mentioned that River has a brother, his name is Tyson. So it shows the household figurehead, and you can also click on them. So I chose Tyson, his last name is Taylor, and I chose our family. So I'm going to choose 2 different households that are not together in the same family, and I'm going to just hit the check mark. And this is where you can choose to take specific Sims that are either related or connected to your family in some capacity. So obviously I want to take these 5 Sims here. So these 5 Sims are River, we then have Martina, we have Noel, we have Ash, and we have Bailey. So those are the 5 Sims here, and then also obviously we have the cat. So those are the 5 Sims I've selected here, but I also want to take Tyson, who is living across town. So I'm going to take Tyson's family as well. I'm just going to click all of them. Now, if you notice, even though I've selected everybody across those 2 households, we still have some other people that are randomly showing up here. So why these people are showing up is because they are connected to your family tree closely enough in a way that NRAAS Porter is saying, hey, these are Sims that you may want to take just to fill out your family tree. There's also going to be dead Sims that show up here. So for example, Meadow and Skip are River's parents. They may be dead, but I still want to take them just so his family tree is filled out and they do show up. We also have Sims that are dating Sims in the current household. So Jeanette is currently dating my Sim Ash. So if I wanted to take Jeanette with us, I could. I'm going to leave her though. Also, you want to make sure you click on the dead Sims. They won't be in your active family, but they will show up still on the family tree. So if that's important to you to maintain the integrity of the family tree, then you may want to select them here. But now that I've selected everybody, also you can, if you just want to take everybody on this list, you can just hit all. I'm going to just hit the check mark here and hit accept, and it is going to tally up how many Sims that you have selected. So I have selected 12 Sims across 2 different families. I'm just going to call this Porter example, whatever you name it, really doesn't matter. And then it is going to go ahead and process. For some reason, when you do this, I don't know why, but it sometimes will mess up inventory items. They'll still all be maintained, but like if you have food, it may spoil it. I don't know why. When you're doing this, if you have selected dead Sims, I just saw one pop up, but there was a ghost. They won't be packed. They're just there so that your family tree stays intact. So it says successfully packed and exported NRAAS Porter example. This can fail if you take way too many Sims. I would say maybe 15 Sims max in one Porter packed family. You don't want to take too many. You can take the whole town. You just have to do it in separate goes. So you have to do what I just did, but do it multiple times. Don't pack more than 15 families because this will fail if you take too many Sims at one time. There we go. We have now exported our family. If you're worried about relationships not maintaining when you NRAAS pack people, don't worry. People's relationships, as long as you pack them in the same exported file, they will be maintained. It's when you split up the exports and put them across multiple Porter exported families that the relationships will not be maintained. But because we exported all of our Sims in the same family, they will still be maintained. I also can't click on the cat. I don't know why that is. That's very weird. And it also gives your Sims a negative moodlet. I'm not sure why. It like salts the wound that the Sim had died previously. It also, for whatever reason, Porter just deleted my cat. I don't care because I'm not gonna be playing in this town any longer, but just know it may delete your animals. Don't worry, we exported them with the animal still in there, so they'll be okay. Your game should still be paused at this point. Now we're going to unpause it and let it run for a second, and just let it do its thing really quickly here. And now I'm gonna pause it again, and I'm going to go into edit town just to make sure that everything processed correctly and my family is down here. So yes, here they are. It's called NRAAS Porter example. As you can see, those are all the Sims that I decided to pack here in this little
portrait so we can go back into our main family. And if you go back into your main family right now and you don't have an interface and it looks like this, you probably didn't unpause your game before you went into edit town. So it is very integral that before you go into edit town, after you do a porter save or a porter pack, you unpause and let the game run for a couple of seconds. So at this point, after we have exported our family, you can either save or save and quit. I'm just going to quit. I don't need to save them for any reason. I'm going to be moving them to a new family. And now from here on out, the process is pretty straightforward. We're just going to go here to start a new game, and we're going to choose our new game. I'm just going to go into Sunset Valley because I know it loads really quickly. So here we are in a fresh, new, clean save of Sunset Valley here. And what we're going to do is we are going to click choose household down here in the bottom left, and we're going to start it like that, and we're just going to choose any random arbitrary household. It does not matter who you pick. I'm just going to close all of these prompts here and let the game just run for a second. That is a key with NRAAS Porter, is to just let the game breathe for a couple of seconds. Let the game, everything, you know, break in and whatnot. So next thing we're going to do is I'm going to let my game run as I do this. I'm going to click on the front door of an empty house. You can see if it's an empty house, if it says ring bell, and we're going to go up to NRAAS Porter, and then we're going to click the unpack button, and this is going to bring up every single family that you have in your Sims save bin. So I'm going to click my NRAAS Porter example. That is a family that I just packed up from Isla Paradiso, and there we go. We are now processing. The game is going to go ahead and unpack the family. So the final family tally here is 2 packed and 0 failed, and you will be able to see them appear in the front door. So because I packed 2 households across different families, it is going to tell you where the other family relocated to. So this is the Taylor family. This is River's brother. He's the alien guy. So if I go and I open up the interior here, you will be able to also see this family. So this is where they ended up living. And then the other family, I think it's the main household that you were playing, unpacked to the house, the main house that you clicked on. So these 2 are also out here. I actually really like that it keeps the families already split up here and you don't have to separate them manually. It's a really nice feature. Also, sometimes for whatever reason, whatever Sims you had that were deceased in the family tree. So let me actually go over here and I will switch over to this family. So now I'm on this family. For whatever reason, if you had ghost Sims in the family tree, then they will still be dead, but it will also make them, I guess this is the dating. I think the pink relationship is dating. So for whatever reason, they're dating in the family tree. I don't know why that is, but it's irrelevant. I don't really care. And it also gives them the morning moodlet, whoever the kids were of the family. Oh, and it also made my plant sim. It gave him back his plant sim clothing in his portrait. That's so strange. But I'm going to go ahead and just remove the morning moodlet from all the Sims because those Sims died a long time ago. They did not just recently die. Also, NRAAS Porter heavily stresses that you cannot place a porter packed family as the first family in the town. You have to go ahead and select a different household, a household that is already placed in the town, and then go and click on the front door of an empty house and unpack them. You have to do it this way, otherwise your game will glitch out. If you don't have NRAAS Dreamcatcher, which is what I just used to switch families really quickly there, you can go into edit town after you let your game run for a little bit, and you can just manually go and switch to them. So I don't know where, you can just hit change active household here and just go ahead and just choose whoever you want to play with. Oh, also, if you want to remove this stupid family name, it says NRAAS Porter, you can just go and change it to whatever they were called before. So they were the Taylor family. I'm gonna go and edit that, and then I can go ahead and select them and go and play them. So NRAAS Porter, just like NRAAS Traveler, will keep their job level, their jobs, if the job is available in the new town. It will not, however, keep their relationships from the previous town. This is something we went over, but I want to show you guys the difference in file size because it is quite astronomical. So here are all 3 of the files side by side. We started out with the family in Isla Paradiso, which was 88.9 megabytes. Then we moved on to Sunset Valley using NRAAS Porter, which actually reduced the file size by quite a bit, and we ended up with only 61 megabytes. So we went from almost 90 megabytes to just 61. And then, as you can see, with NRAAS Traveler, we moved them to Barnacle Bay, and because it retained the data from the original town of Isla Paradiso, and then also it loaded a new town on top of that, we actually nearly doubled our file size and ended up with 134 megabytes of a Sims 3 save file using NRAAS Traveler. So I hope you guys could see the differences here. Obviously, this is up to you at the end of the day. I do prefer to use NRAAS Porter because I think it's really good and keeps your save files nice and young and healthy. But if you do value those relationships in your old town, then maybe you do want to use NRAAS Traveler. There's a time and place for both NRAAS Porter and NRAAS Traveler, and you just need to decide when you want to use one or the other. That is going to do it for me today though, guys. I hope you did all enjoy. If you are needing help with fixing your Sims 3 game, I have guides on Sims 3 fixes and my ultimate fix guide. I also have a visual update guide if you would like to update and improve your Sims 3 graphics. And lastly, I also have videos going over NRAAS mods, specifically NRAAS story progression, and every single mainstream NRAAS mod under the sun on my channel. I have covered The Sims 3 extensively. There's lots of content for you to watch if you are a new viewer of this channel. And once again, thank you all so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace out, guys.